World Health Organization, the United Nations Health Agency, has on Tuesday distorted the political map of India by separating the union territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir from the country. In its official global display of COVID-19 related data on the website, the WHO marks Ladakh and J&K with different colors and shows Pakistan's total COVID count when browsed on the Kashmir region. India has raised the incorrect depiction of the country's map on the website of the WHO at the highest level, prompting the UN's health body to issue a disclaimer that the image is not an expression of opinion on the legal status of any country. Joining us at this point is Ambassador Manju Seth, former diplomat. We also have Major General A.K. Sivaj, Strategic Affairs Analyst, Amjad Ayub Mirza, Pakistan POK, Human Rights Activist. We also have Professor Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian, joining us live. Yana Mir, Editor-in-Chief, ITV The Real Kashmir News, is also with us on the broadcast. Professor Nalapat, let me begin with you first. Does this once again show the WHO's anti-India mindset and credentials? Why so blatantly get a map wrong?
The WHO per se is not anti-India. The WHO mainly listens to what the Chinese tell it to do. And the Chinese make sure that the WHO does things that are anti-India. The WHO does so willingly. And the WHO by itself, I'm sure, does not have any opinion for or against India. But it has been a very faithfully reflecting, ever since this pandemic was first identified, the Chinese point of view on the pandemic. Now, for example, and I'm sorry to say, the rest of the world has not held the WHO accountable for this. In fact, the Director General got almost unanimously elected for a second term. And this is in the face of what has happened since 2020. You had massive lockdowns, which the WHO said were necessary to break the curve of transmission, basically break the chain of transmission, flatten the curve. All these concepts were trotted out. You had these very severe lockdowns that impacted livelihoods horribly. And what was the effect? As far as I can tell statistically, the effect on the incidence of pandemic was minimal, if there was anything at all. But the consequences to society, to human beings, and to livelihoods was enormous. Then you had this complete focus on the vaccine and ignoring remedies. Then you had this complete absence of focus on how doctors all across the world were trying different therapies, different protocols, and some of them were working, including in India. I think these hundreds of therapies would have been a very valuable subject for the WHO to study. It never did that. It relied entirely on China. And well, I don't want to say this, but the reality is where the origin of this particular SARS-CoV-2 was concerned, the WHO marched in lockstep with the Chinese. And I'm sorry to say, much to the cost of the Democratic Party, so did US President Joe Biden. It's not Xi Jinping and Joe Biden are arm in arm where one thing is concerned, and that is marching in lockstep with the WHO. The only difference is Biden has absolutely no influence on WHO, and Xi Jinping has massive influence over the WHO. So I'd like to say, unless they withdraw this offensive image, quite frankly, it's not enough to say it doesn't represent our view. Then you can say tomorrow, all the recommendations that we made on COVID, which have caused so much of trouble across the world, so they don't represent our view. They're somebody else's point of view. In my view, the least they can do in the interest of decency is to remove such offensive material, offensive to the world's most populous democracy. Democracy may not be something that everybody in the WHO appreciates, but it's something valuable to humanity. And I think that's the minimum the WHO should do.
Yes, clearly, Yana Mir, let me bring you in here. How outrageous is this for the ordinary Kashmiri on ground, for the ordinary, Ladakhi, the fact that Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh have actually been left out of India's map by the WHO?
It's very outrageous if you consider how much, the kind of Indian nationalist wave that's going on in the valley these days. It is definitely outrageous. But like Nalapat sir said, the whole world knows that WHO is heavily influenced by China because China has heavy investments in the WHO. So even when the COVID came, I second his thoughts completely, Nalapat sir's thoughts. When when the COVID pandemic started and when it spread so badly, the WHO heavily defended China, even though there were countries like Germany and other countries in the European Union that were actually planning to do lawsuits on China for doing this. No, but the WHO supported China, and China and Pakistan are friends, so they are peddling a narrative which suits them in the geopolitics of Southeast Asia. So it's obvious why such things are happening. And it's not only the fact that they have removed Jammu and Kashmir from the map, it's also, there are many things that the WHO does against India because China does view India as one of its rivals. Has the WHO ever bothered to get down to studying Ayurveda? Do you know that Coronil has kept so many people safe from coronavirus? But no, Covaxin, they went forward and backward to recognize Covaxin just because it's made in India, whereas it's a lot more, it's at least 30% more effective than the Sinopharm vaccine. And yet all these things, I mean, they are so blatantly supporting China and the world can see it. But unfortunately, everyone's quiet about it. And yes, Kashmiris are definitely very, very offended with this act of removing us from the map of India. This is outrageous to say the least. And it is it's very, how do I say it? It's hurtful to an Indian nationalist Kashmiri who every day goes out and puts his or her life at stake just because he or she loves his country. And for those Kashmiris, this is outrageous.
Yes, it certainly is outrageous, as you're saying, Yanamir. And what is also pretty unfortunate, Major General Sivach, is the fact that, that we're seeing. In fact, I want to get an Ambassador Manju Seth at that point for the diplomatic response, and then I'll come to you, General Sivach, on the broader sentiment. What's unfortunate, Ambassador Manju Seth, is the kind of response we get officially when raised at the highest level by India's diplomatic channels. The WHO merely issues a disclaimer saying that this should not be taken as a legal opinion on any country's status or region. What a vague disclaimer. They don't withdraw the map or they don't make changes.
Absolutely. It's really quite, unfortunate that they are having this attitude because, India has been pushing and we have taken it up with them. But short of, changing their website or accessing their website and changing, and putting pressure on them, India is trying its best. But, this happens again and again. And as Professor Nalapat said, they are just speaking China's language because of China's investments. And also, as Yanamir said, it is so strange that the WHO is not bothered about what India is saying and what India is telling them and putting the correct position and correcting their map. It doesn't matter if it does not reflect their views in the matter. They have to use the right map. It is simply that, they can't just put any map and giving all these funny, when you put the cursor on Kashmir, it comes out as Pakistan's data, and in parts of Ladakh and Arunachal, it comes out as China's data for COVID-19. I think that is absolutely ridiculous, and they cannot get away with these funny disclaimers. They should not be allowed to get away. And it is really very unfortunate that they are behaving like this. Any responsible international organization would immediately, take heed, as used to happen before also, because we've had many incidents over the years where the wrong map of India has been projected or used, but they've always heeded what India has said, and usually they've changed the map or they've clarified that this is not the official map or something like that. But usually they have agreed to change it. But this time, the WHO in this particular incident, and it's been there since last year, 2021 also the map was wrong, and we've been telling them, and they somehow seem to think that, who are you to tell us what to do? And that is very unfortunate because I think, as Professor Nalapat and Yanamir have also said, that it is money that is doing the talking, and China is able to influence even for the map, even for the whole COVID saga that has been ongoing. Everybody has been seeing it. The world has been watching, but somehow no one seems to have taken any corrective or corrective action or put any pressure on the WHO to take a non-partisan view and take non-partisan action in the matter. Uday.
Yes, indeed. Let me, in fact, get in then Mijan Leke Sivach at this point. Mijan Leke Sivach, obviously, WHO once again dancing to China's tunes. They never got to the bottom of the COVID origins. They dilly-dallied there. They've given wrong advice. They've, really disappointed a lot of people across the world with their COVID handling. And now they're back to this kind of political messaging.
Absolutely correct. Today, two, three things stands out. There is no doubt WHO is totally under the influence of China, and it is the Director General Tedros who is the main culprit, because who's been held by China for getting elected first time, and second time he was been elected by unanimously. The point which comes is that this time this map has got something more to it. Two things stand out. One is that the Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh is shown in a different color. And also a thin line is been shown where that Pakistan occupied Kashmir is been shown as if it is a part of Pakistan. Because when you take the cursor there, the number of COVID patients are coming as a part of Pakistan. And at the same time, the one which is in Ladakh, it is shown as a part of China. But more than anything else, what it hurts maximum is that they have shown the northern part of Arunachal Pradesh also in a different color, and also they have shown a very thin line showing as if this is a part of China. So therefore, this has been done on the behest of China. The point is, it means WHO, there is a lot of pressure which is being put by WHO on WHO by China, and China once putting pressure, WHO is doing what China wants it. So this is a matter of concern. We must do aggressive diplomacy. We have to go all out. We can't accept this nonsense forever. Remember, this is not the first time. Last year also twice it has happened. Once by the BBC, second by the Twitter. The BBC, when they were saying that the Delta variant, has been started from India, and thereafter they were showing the part of POK as also part of, Pakistan. Also, the Ladakh was shown by them to China, and we have to put a lot of pressure on BBC to take out that. And my point is, if the BBC can do it, which is a part of under the influence of the government of United Kingdom, we should also question what is there in Ireland and Scotland. Now the point is that tit for tat is the technique. We can't accept this nonsense for too long. And the same way the Twitter last year has shown Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh as a different country altogether. So therefore, why it is happening too very often as far as India is concerned, I think we are a soft country. We have to be aggressive in our diplomacy, put pressure, whatever it may be, because we can't accept this nonsense. And whatever WHO is giving the explanation is not acceptable. And because they are saying this is not their political map, so it be. But they can't show Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh in a different color when they are the integral part of India, and also show on a boundary wherein they are showing as if it is part of Pakistan and the another portion part of China. So I suppose my only take is, Uday, a very aggressive diplomacy is the key word. You have to put pressure through your old friends and all. You can't accept this nonsense, because if you accept it now, then it will become a order of the day. You'll find others also following it. Same way with the Twitter and BBC, it is not their explanation, but the aggressive diplomacy. Put pressure, put anything what you have, but don't let them repeat again and again. Uday.
Yes, okay. Let me bring in Amjad Ayub Mirza as well at this point. Amjad Ayub Mirza, they will not, of course, speak about, human rights. They will not speak about the kind of atrocities being committed by the Pakistanis on, people of Gilgit, on people in POK, on the minorities. They will not speak about the atrocities being committed by the Chinese on the Uyghurs and Tibetans. But these kind of things they get right, be it the UN, be it the UNHCR, or be it the WHO. Amjad Ayub Mirza, how do you react and respond to this big gaffe and error And it doesn't really seem to be an error. It seems to be pretty deliberate.
Well, exactly. You know, there is a saying in India. We say, "Baap bada na bhaiya, sabse bada rupaiya." So China has a lot of money, and China uses her money in order to buy favors and in order to buy positions at board of directors of big organizations. So I'm not surprised that WHO has done this before. They have also done similar things in the past. Now I think that WHO has no concern about COVID-19 pandemic in POJK or POGB. Today, our schools in Pakistani occupied Jammu Kashmir, our universities and schools have been shut down up to 9th of February because COVID is out of control in Pakistani occupied Jammu Kashmir. Nobody bothers about talking about that or send a WHO representative or South Asian representative to go and evaluate the situation. So this is absolutely, horrendous what they have done, and this is they are trying to test our patience, and they are trying to test कि देखते हैं क्या होता है. I think that it is time now that India should take the lead in forming a new health organization, international health organization, like WHO, that India should take the lead and form that with the friendly countries. We should have our own international health organization that looks after the interests of third world countries, India, Pakistani occupied Jammu Kashmir, Pakistani occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, Africa and all that. We don't need this WHO anymore. It has proved to be a total failure, not only with COVID-19, but with malaria pandemic in Asia and Africa. Give me one example where the WHO has helped in eradicating one epidemic disease. Nothing. They're just taking very big salaries there, the directors, their country representatives, they drive posh cars, they live in the capital cities, big houses, big wages, big salaries, and big first class traveling and all that. It is a bureaucratic organization. It has no human element in it. It has no human concern in it. So this organization is an obsolete organization, and it has failed, just like the United Nations has failed to force Pakistan to pull out its troops from POJK and POGB. Similarly, WHO has failed, and now it doesn't even know. If they say this is a mistake, then what kind of people are sitting at the top level who are doing the statistics and and stuff like that about these epidemic diseases? How can you put a statistic? If you say that Ladakh and JK is part of Pakistan, then how are you going to get a proper picture about the COVID-19 situation in India? So this is a total scam, and I think we should start thinking of leading the world in a new health organization to start with.
Yes, and let me just come back to Yana Mir at this point. Yana Mir, obviously it's happening at the behest of China, isn't it? As Professor Nalapat said, you know, it's happening at the behest of China. It's happening because obviously China is paying them to toe Pakistan's line. Yana, are you able to hear me? Okay, I think we've lost her there. But Ambassador Manju Seth, why don't you take that? What's the reason all of this is happening? Please read between the lines for us. Decode. What's the intention?
The intention, of course, is, I think, war by other means, to put pressure on India in every possible way, and to make us isolate us, and put us in a corner all the time. I think that is what the intention seems to be. And they don't want to let up, either if you look at on the borders, in every which way they are trying, surrounding India, across, the Indian Ocean and everywhere they're trying to, China is trying to put pressure on India in every way. And China and Pakistan together have, China is the main, as we are aware, is the main funder for the WHO, big contributor, and so is able to put pressure to meet its interests, its geopolitical, geostrategic interests, and also that of Pakistan, which is unfortunate, but that's what it seems to be. Uday.
Okay, let me also quickly ask Major General Sivach then on what the response should be by India. What do you believe? We've already taken it up at the highest level, which is why this disclaimer has come out, but obviously it's not enough. What should be our response according to General Sivach?
You see, my point is that you have a very limited options as far as aggressive diplomacy is the key one. And second thing is you have your friend. My point today is what WHO is doing is what China is dictating, and China is dictating because China is funding WHO. So why the point is how much leverage we have on WHO, how much we are funding them, that become a mute question. But certainly all this, whatever has been done, it is done by a malified intention by China to put tremendous pressure on India, isolate India, show to the world that, of course, Jammu and Kashmir is a controversial part. It is not an integral part of India. At the same time, it started now of Arunachal Pradesh. That is something cause of worry. Northern portion of Arunachal Pradesh again shown shown as a part of China. So the point is, we should do aggressive posturing. We should, try to take help of US also and other countries to put pressure on WHO. But certainly WHO will listen to the person who contribute the maximum amount of money. And today China plays the card. China is the one which is been dictating term in most of these health organizations or world bodies, because they are the one which are funding after US. But certainly we have to do more aggressive than what we are. Somewhere we have failed in our diplomacy, and that's why it is happening too very often. All I point which Ambassador was trying to convey is China had a very malified intention, and to me it looks like that we are taking it very softly, that when they are now sort of preparing for the worst case scenario from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh, they have made an infrastructure, they have improved their capacity, their troops are deployed, they made 600 villages, they have almost, encircled India from all sides, starting from Kuakapu in Myanmar, then Chittagong in Bangladesh, and Hambantota in Sri Lanka, and one island in Maldives, then Djibouti in East Africa, and then Gwadar. It is the all practice they are doing is to put tremendous pressure on India. And everyone is thinking that the actual war will never take place between India and China. But everyone thought that they will never do Doklam and also Ladakh, because India is providing a huge market. There is a trade of almost $125 billion. But still they did it. So let's not take China too lightly. China is an unpredictable country. It can do what it wants. So we have to be very alert and live. And China, along with Pakistan, is a big threat to us. And we have to be now trying to modernize our army, try to put diplomacy at the hem of it, put pressure on both. It is not only China, it is also Pakistan which is trying to now shaping its army in a fashion that they are totally deployed on a line of control. And hence it is a cause of concern to us that China not only trying to put pressure on line of actual control and borders, but also doing this sort of aggressive diplomacy through WHO and other world organizations to put India in isolation. And this is a point of concern. We have to do aggressive counter posturing to put pressure on these organizations at the world level so that they are not dictated by the influence of China. Uday.
Okay. Let me give the last word to Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat, your closing comment.
Look, you remember when this COVAX program was started by WHO, I said that Indian vaccines should go all across the world, but as Indian vaccines, well, we gave the bulk of the COVAX vaccine. We didn't give money as much as China, but we gave the bulk of vaccines, and the WHO got the credit, and not India. So, I mean, we have got a very generous policy. I'd like to only point out that, look, I fully agree with the ambassador and with our military friend that, this is a systematic information warfare designed to condition the world. And forget about India. They're not looking at India. They're looking at conditioning the world to believe that these are natural parts of Pakistan and natural parts of China. So that in future, if they mount a kinetic operation designed to separate these parts from India, the world will say, well, they're only entering the territory that anyway long-standing has been regarded as theirs. And this is part of that conditioning process. It's part of that information warfare. So taking it lightly, in my view, would be a complete mistake. It's a sign of planning for the future. And I fully agree. We always will expect the best, but prepare for the worst. And this is my view. The Chinese are preparing for something, and we have to be very clear, and that this is all a part of that, and respond very, very clearly to that. So this is conditioning the international community. Oh, WHO has given this map. It's not been drawn this map. No one is going to look at the WHO disclaimer. Supposing, let us say, a newspaper carries a big front page article giving a lot of fake information about somebody, and then after about 6 months carries a small disclaimer in some inside page. Who's going to look at that disclaimer? Who knows that the WHO has given a disclaimer? They'll only look at the map. Oh, this is not India. This is Pakistan. This is China. And this is the problem. We cannot respond without keeping all the factors in mind, and without looking ahead, and without planning for any possible contingency, including that of kinetic warfare.
All right, let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.